Hello and welcome to Language Culture and Dr. Lou. And today I have some really strange, really silly sayings from friends for you. And I put together this little collection because well, in my opinion, every one of these sayings is laugh out loud funny. A lot of times I can't really get through them without chuckling. And why are they so silly? Because they're idioms, and when you take them out of context and translate them literally, they end up sounding ridiculous. And so a lot of these are just really silly. And some of the ones towards the end, I saved the ones towards the end for the most disturbing ones of all, which I think are really funny, because they're so twisted in a way, except for the first one. I wanted to start out with a bang, so this one I did not put off until the end. I decided to go ahead and show it up front. Il n'y a pas de quoi fouetter un chat. Is this one I love. It means literally, oh, it's no reason for whipping a cat, or there's no reason for whipping a cat here. And so pretty much all it means is, oh, it's no big deal, really. Don't make a fuss about it. That's um, that's all it means. But I find it hilarious because we're actually talking about whipping animals, whipping pets, which of course no are meant to kitty cats. Nobody gets whipped from the saying. It's just saying there's no reason to. It's no big deal. Don't make a fuss about it, really. There's no reason for whipping a cat. And anyway, and I just love how scared the little kitty in the bottom corner in the basket is looking like he just heard someone say something about whipping a cat. Anyway, so yeah, this one I kind of love because it's really out there, really ridiculous. And so are a lot of the other ones on this list, like this one. Ooh, arrivé comment ça va sur la soupe. This is, I guess the meaning of it gets pretty obvious. I mean, we translate it literally as to arrive like a hare in the soup. And so what we use it to mean is pretty obvious if you consider that some hair in your soup is pretty much the worst, right? Nobody's got time for that, yeah. Um, and so if someone arrives like a hare in the soup, maybe they're a party crasher, some unwelcomed or unexpected guest, or even if somebody makes a remark that's really offhand, really irrelevant, and pretty upsetting, uh, considering the topic of conversation that was going on, that remark could be something that arrives like a hare in the soup. So we can talk about people being arriving like a hare in the soup, or phrases, well, statements that people make, and even sometimes, well, unexpected twists in a context, in a situation, a real twist. Sometimes that can arrive like a hare in the soup. And I love this one. This one is makes me chuckle out loud because I think, well, a hare in the soup is obviously is the worst, and it's funny to me that the French use such a gross, yeah, such a gross metaphor for it. Anyway, so that's that one I like too. And now this next one is a little more well, a little less unnerving. Put mon neveu. I like this one because for one, it's pretty rhymey. Like you hear it, put mon neveu, right? And it literally means a little my nephew. And so to figure out, well, how we would use this expression, imagine that you have a nephew who you love very much and you're always very generous to, and they asked you, your little nephew, he asked you for little jam to go on his bread or something like that, or another little treat or something. And I'll put one over. So pretty much we use it to mean, oh, yes, of course. So it's pretty much a given. And this is also funny to me because someone doesn't certainly doesn't have to be a nephew or even a relative or even a male or any of that to direct this comment towards them. It's just like, of course you can. It's my pleasure kind of a deal. So yeah, that part is funny to me that we're walking around calling everybody my nephew, even though they're really not. Anyway, that reminds me of au contraire, mon frère, which is also pretty rhymey. And that one, I don't recommend using it because mon frère means my brother. So I'm not finding it always appropriate to be calling someone my brother. And so Peigner la girafe, sorry. This is well, literally to comb the giraffe. Like if the giraffe needed a haircut and here you are combing it. In French, we use that to mean to do a totally useless task, like to do something pointless and useless. Something that's not very productive at all is combing the giraffe. And I like the little stamp image that I found of this, where you have that girl all combing the mane on that giraffe right there, combing his hair. This one, part of why I think it's so funny is think of how tall giraffes are, how hard this would be to comb their hair, and and apparently pointless too. I mean, no offense to giraffes, but in France, to combing the giraffe is to do something pointless and useless. So I guess, yeah. Whoever thought of this phrase didn't know any giraffes and want to help them. I don't know. And so on to another phrase that's not, well, silly phrase anyway. And this one I just love. Quand les poules auront des dents. This, of course, means when chicken will have teeth. And so, of course, chicken will never have teeth, not like the pearly whites you see on this chicken here, right? Not even possible. So it's in English, we have two sayings, two idioms that I think are pretty similar to this. One is when pigs fly, right? That will never happen. Pigs don't have wings, they will never fly. So we say when pigs fly to mean it will never happen. Or even when hell freezes over, right? We assume that will never happen either. So in France, to say something will never ever happen, you say, yeah, when chickens will have teeth. And people understand that just as clearly as we do in English when we say, oh, when pigs fly, to mean never, never, ever, 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 ever. There we go. So that's when chicken will have teeth. Never ever. And I just love this one because it's so silly, so plain silly. And now we're getting to one that's a little more disturbing, it's kind of a rude thing to say to somebody. If you say that they just came from a cow's mouth, sortir de la gueule d'une vache, which I put here, I translated it here as to come from a cow's mouth, but sortir to me that brings mind of coming out of a cow's mouth, right? Or coming out from a cow's mouth, like you were inside the damn cow's mouth originally, and now you're out. And what does it mean? We might say this to someone whose clothes are really wrinkled and unironed and all that, like the guy in the picture all the way in the bottom corner. He has a wrinkly shirt. If your friend tells you that you look like, well, that you just came out of a cow's mouth, they might be trying to be helpful to say, "Yeah, iron your clothes, you look like a mess. Clean yourself up a little bit." But I find it, yeah, it's kinda rude. It's, totally judgmental, and, but to me, it makes a lot of sense if somebody's looking all wrinkly and whatnot, well, their clothing, and they're just looking all disheveled. Yeah, why not say they look like they just came out of a cow's mouth? Anyway, and so this next one might bug you a little if you know what noyer means. It means to drown. And so why is this one so funny to me? Because noyer le poisson is to drown the fish. And so how do you do that again? As far as I can tell, fish are totally fine, completely submerged in the water like all the time, right? The problem for them is when they're not inside the water. Anyway, um, so what does this mean? What do we say? Why do we say somebody is drowning the fish in French? If they are really evading a topic, like you're trying to discuss something with them, and like any good politician, instead of answering the question that you asked them, they answer a question that they wish that you had asked them, they sort of pivot a little way. Anyway, it's when you're evading the topic, when somebody's being really evasive about answering a question or about discussing a perfectly good topic, you can tell them they are drowning the fish. Anyway, and so that's not the most disturbing of these strange, silly sayings. Il y a une couille dans le potage. That is really gross. I've translated it here as there's a testicle in the soup, which it means directly, but the word couille, I don't think of it, it's not a medical term like testicle, that's just anatomy, biology, it's just science. Where inquiry, it's a slang word. Like I think, well, in American English, we might say a ball, or in British English, they might say a bollock. Um, but I just figured out if I'm gonna translate this to show how silly it is, how weird and yeah, how silly and strange it is. I should just outright say exactly what kind of ball we're talking about, right? There's a ball in the soup, and it's a testicle. That's the kind of ball. But don't worry, you're not looking at anything gross here. The balls in this particular soup, this is a chicken soup with matzo balls in it. So don't worry, no testicles here. And so this one is, I think, the one that's like the second most most disturbing of all the phrases I've got here. Se faire scier comme un rat mort. Un rat mort is a dead rat. Se faire scier, to make yourself sick. And in a larger sense, in a general sense, slangy, faire scier is to annoy or to bore, or to piss off. Anyway, just to annoy. And so se faire scier is to get annoyed or to get bored. And so se faire scier comme un rat mort is is to get like unbelievably bored, so bored you want to hit yourself in the head, kind of a deal. It's yeah, this is a level of boredom being here, which is ridiculous. And so that's to make yourself sit like a dead rat in French. And not sure exactly where the expression came from, but I know it sounds really funny, especially when, well, uh, especially if you don't really like rats. Anyway, and now the most disturbing and silliest saying of them all that I wanted to include in this collection is avoir ou je tue le chien, which means bring me something to drink or I kill the dog. Which that one is it's upsetting to me. I'm an animal lover. I hate the idea of anybody even threatening a dog's life, or any other animal's life for that matter. But don't worry, no dogs are harmed in this. It just means, yeah, you gotta bring 'em better bring 'em a drink really quick, right? Better be quick about it. And so that to me is funny because, my lord, how desperate do you have to be for alcohol to threaten a dog's life or just to get your drink fast? Anyway, so that to me is, yeah, one of the most disturbing sayings that I know of, and to me, it's laugh out loud funny. I mean, yeah, even if somebody said this to me in English or in another language, bringing me something to drink or I kill the dog, I would probably find that, yeah, a little disturbing, but mostly laugh out loud funny. So, thank you so much for listening to my 10 strangest, silliest sayings in French. And yeah, there were 10 of them. Sorry, I did not number them, but anyway, um, thank you so much for watching my video, especially. I'm glad that you're still here to the very end. So, thank you for that. Please do give this video thumbs up and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. I would really appreciate that so much. So now I'm going to go back to working on some more weird words of the day videos. So look forward to that, to seeing what I come up with anyway. And then I'll get back to more idioms in yeah, in a couple days from now. So stay tuned for that too. And again, thank you very much. And so I'll catch you around next time. Bye bye.